everybody. Welcome
Welcome.
to the Pastor's Buzz, episode 6.
Seis.
Yeah, wait, 6.
Seis.
Episode 6. Nancy and Mitch here. We've got another question, a really good one.
We do. Good question.
This one is personal, right?
Yeah, it is.
And it is, how do you be a human being, imperfect, fragile, troubled, and still be a pastor? You know, someone who's held to a higher standard in the church. And which is a great question for two really imperfect people.
Yeah, so you start.
So, absolutely. I've thought about this a lot. I'm in a recovery group that meets once a week, and this is a common theme for me because, believe it or not, I'm the only pastor in the recovery group. And so I've thought about it a lot, and what I realize is we are held to a higher standard. Pastors are held to a higher standard. But the higher standard is not, it's not about being perfect. It's not about being incredibly, uniquely gifted. The higher standard that I think pastors are held to is a higher standard of humility. And if you can admit where you're imperfect, if you're able to say sorry over and over and over again.
Yeah,
lots. Those are the things that I think.
And I don't know.
And I don't know, absolutely. I think those are the things that people really appreciate and respond to, because that shows a level of leadership that is, it doesn't get caught up in the drama. It doesn't get caught up in fights and stuff like that, you know, over secondary issues. It's really when you can say, yes, I am imperfect. I am trying my best to serve God, to serve the church. And there are, of course, going to be places where I'm wrong, where I fail, both in the church and also in my personal life. And I think if you just set that expectation early, like, look, I am not going to be perfect. But that makes you real and relatable, and people, at least in my experience, have appreciated that about a pastor.
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, and kind of along those lines of being real with people, I think what was helpful for me is when we started DSPC, we just had stuff going on personally. Jim and I did in our family's dynamics and such that it was really obvious that we needed to just talk with our beginning group about real life and real issues going on with us, and I think it set a great dynamic for DSPC that I think we've continued on of being as real as we can with each other, and so for me it's actually I guess the courage to step away from this, and I don't think it's maybe within the pastors as much as sometimes other people thinking we ought to be we are held to a different standard, but I think us realizing and putting it straight out there to people, you know, we are all together wanting to know how to love and serve Jesus better and to be church better, and we don't do it perfectly, and here's how I wish I could have done some things differently. Here's what's going on in my life. Just loving and wanting to serve Jesus does not mean we have a life free of crisis and challenges and circumstances that are painful. And so for pastors to act like they don't have those things, when the truth is all of them do, we're just setting up a dynamic that encourages a couple of things. One thing, I think it encourages pastors to almost begin to see themselves as insulated because other people start believing that about them, and you can kind of believe it about yourself, and just being accountable and honest with others really keeps people humble, pastors humble, but it also encourages the people that you do life with in your congregation, your community, to be to be real with you as well. I have had lots of people say to me, I just found out when I got to know you're just like me. And part of you goes, yeah, well, I am just like you. But I think there's some freedom to be able to say this, so I can trust you with my stuff.
Yep.
If you got your own, together we'll work through it, because the goal is, in our stuff, is to always be moving closer into the image of Christ. So I think it is it's a blessing to have people around you that are willing to be honest with you, and I don't think that starts unless you can do that in some way or another yourself.
Yeah, owning your imperfections. What I've learned is when you own those imperfections, that's when God has a chance to redeem them, right? And use them for His church and for His kingdom. And that's got to start at the top. You got to have somebody who's willing to own their imperfections and let God use that for His church and for His kingdom. So, it's in some ways, if you're a pastor, you better be imperfect, because people need to.
You are imperfect.
Yeah.
You better let people know you're imperfect.
Yes.
It frees them up. And hey, DSPC folks, neither one of us have any. We know we're not perfect, so you don't have to worry about that in your pastors. You already got that.
I think
that down.
I think that cat was let out of the bag a while ago, Nance.
Long time ago, and what I would say is, a pastor is, thank you for letting us be real people with you, and
it also allows people to support us.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's important.
You
need, probably have that in Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah, you absolutely need people to come alongside you and support you. Everybody does in their life, not just pastors. Everybody needs a community to come alongside them and walk with them in their imperfections, so that they can make progress in their life and move closer to the image of Christ that they were created in.
Absolutely.
And it starts with admitting it and saying, yeah, I'm not perfect.
And the church works, I think, really so well when that accountability or whatever can actually happen within the community. I've had a lot of pastors say to me, or lots, but people say, well, I have to do that outside of my church.
I can't reveal that to my church. Yeah.
And that's such a loss both ways. And not that we don't want to have people that are important and we hold people accountable beyond the church, of course. All of us need that in life. But there's a different dynamic that goes on when the congregation embraces a pastor as they are.
Yeah.
And we can walk that together. It doesn't have to be fake in and real out. It's, so thank y'all. Thank you for taking two imperfect people and loving them.
Well, that was a great question. Thank you so much. We love y'all, and we'll see you next time. Pastor's Buzz, out.
Out.